Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to the Artist Next Level podcast. Super happy to connect with you. Happy New Year. If you are listening right now as brand new in 2022, I want to welcome you into this podcast. We're about to have a great chat conversation. Today, I have with me a special guest. His name is Nathan Kirby. He's a great guy. I met on Twitter Spaces as I, been spending a lot of time there learning all things about NFT. And Nathan keeps showing up in some of those conversations and really spreading really good positivity, a really great message. And I said, I have to have Nathan come into the podcast and introduce him to our audience here. So you are for a great surprise. Don't go anywhere. It's going to be really, really good.
Resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Hey, Nathan, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Sergio, I'm doing fantastic, and thank you so much for allowing me to spend some time with you tonight. I appreciate it.
Oh, no, my honor, man. It's just super excited to have you here. You are in Florida, beautiful sunny weather, 70-something, 80 degrees or so. I'm here I just take 10 out. I'm at 8 degrees here in Chicago. But, it is a good thing that we can have a conversation here through the podcast and share this chat with our friends who are listening literally from all around the world who tune into this podcast. And we're about to, to drop some good seeds of good positivity, which is something that you are a natural at. So as a brief kind of a story on how, I connect with you, as I mentioned in the quick intro, is that one morning I was listening to a Twitter conversation through Spaces, learning all things about NFT. It's a beautiful community of artists, sharing about NFT and so on. And then you came on the speaker there, and I think you were introduced as the NFT Granddad or something like that. And
that's what they call me.
Yeah, NFT Granddad. And you were just dropping some really awesome, words of encouragement for the community and how exciting you were about what was happening in the community and artists helping each other out. And I could tell after you spoke, the host of that particular, room or space in Twitter, they were just, so thankful, that you showed up, that you were in their space, and that, you participated. And then, so that was one time, and then I found you in another one. And so I keep finding you, here and there, and it is so awesome. I love that you're taking the time to bring in, something to the table. And so I don't know much about you other than that. So we're going to discover a little bit more about you. And I heard a little bit of your life story in one of the sessions that you were sharing a little bit too. So I would love, to hear a little bit about that. But before we dive into your story, I would love to hear, how did you get into the NFT space? That's kind of like the big question, because that's one of the big topics right now, everywhere you go, NFTs.
Sure. I mean, I haven't been in the NFT space, but just a little over 3 months. In fact, back about 3 months ago, I get up pretty early every morning, about 4:30, and I was actually up one Sunday morning going to look at my Coinbase account, and it's blue and white, and Twitter's blue and white, and I just accidentally clicked on Twitter, and there was a young man on there speaking about something called social charities NFTs, and I was like, "Wow, what is this?" And I clicked on it, and really, when I clicked on it, I started listening to this young man. There was a lot of things that began to crossroads in my life, convergence, I call it. And when he started talking about NFTs, he started talking about the decentralization and all that piece of it. I had been involved in crypto a couple of months, so I understood a little bit about crypto, but I didn't really yet understand what an NFT was, the metaverse, as it were. And as I moved forward quickly in that, I tell people 3.5 months ago, I couldn't even spell NFT. And then 4 weeks later, I get invited to NFT NYC to speak about NFTs and how I thought they would impact the senior adult population, which I am one. And that kind of began a journey into what I was doing. But really, I saw NFTs initially as being a way to help people my age create a legacy of their life.
Hmm.
Because I grew up on a farm in North Carolina and
Mm-hmm.
left a farm and got in business in the insurance business for 42 years and real estate business for about 38. But
Mm-hmm.
really what brought me to the NFT and back a few months ago was in 2017, I had a physical and they detected some PSA levels, which is a prostate level, was
Mm-hmm.
up, and quickly went from that to have an exam. And within a couple of days, my doctor said, "Hey, we got to do something. This is not good." And
Mm-hmm.
within a couple more days later, I get a report back from some tests and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, was told, "Hey, Nathan, you may have 6 months left to live." Now
Wow.
that was that was pretty eye opening. I was 57 years old at the time
Mm-hmm.
with 4 kids. The oldest one at the time was, I think, 35. And then I had a 12, 13, 14-year-old, something like that with me.
Mm-hmm.
But people have always asked me, Sergey, what goes through your mind? I mean, well, a
Mm-hmm.
lot goes through your mind. But if you ask anybody out there that's up in age or faces death,
Mm-hmm.
the one question that we all ask ourselves, will anybody ever know I existed in 50 years?
Mm-hmm.
And well, the good part about that was I had the honor of being given a death sentence, and then I had a tremendous honor being told about 10 days later that the doctors had observed what they call spontaneous remission or a miracle,
Wow.
and the cancer that was there,
Mm-hmm.
that was supposedly metastasized outside of my prostate, was no longer present.
Wow.
So, there was a lot went on there, but I remember distinctly within the first couple of days of that, I started recording videos to my kids.
Oh, wow.
Things like, it was pretty powerful,
Mm-hmm.
to my daughter. She was 15. I just basically said, "Hey, I'm sorry I can't be around. So proud of you being 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish I could be there with you. I love you." And I did videos for my kids all the way from getting out of high school to college to getting married and all that kind
Wow.
of stuff. So that ramped up pretty quickly. Now, once
Mm-hmm.
I was told, "Hey, you're going to be around for a while," that kind of went to the side.
Mm-hmm.
But the part about legacy always stuck with me in the back of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speed the clock up.
Yeah.
Last year, 2021,
Mm-hmm.
my mother passes away in July,
Mm-hmm.
and my dad had died 6 years earlier than that. But we couldn't bury her because of the situation we were in nationally.
With
And
COVID, yeah.
she got, because of COVID, she was cremated. And then in August, we were able to go up there and give her graveside service. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing there at the grave and I'm looking at a headstone. It's got my dad's name on there, his beginning date, which is birth, and his ending date. And there's my mother's name, her beginning date and ending date. And it hits me again. I'm like, oh my God, who will ever know my mom and dad existed outside of 2 headstones
Mm-hmm.
in 50 years? And again, I said, I got to do something. I got to do something for people my age,
Mm-hmm.
because legacy, and I'm not talking about financial legacy, I'm just talking memories of our people
Mm-hmm.
for historical purposes.
Right.
And that's what brought me to the aha moment when I
Mm-hmm.
realized the NFT could be the answer to it. And now I know without a doubt it is the answer because of the blockchain. So
Right.
that kind of led me into that. And now I've spoken twice in New York
Mm-hmm.
since then about what I call my initiative, which is really the
Mm-hmm.
power of early detection of all kinds of diseases, to include cancer and mental illnesses. And I see blockchain as a way of helping us do that. Because if you think about, Sergio, I'm not really sure where you're from, but in the society where I grew up, you didn't talk a lot about your problems.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know, man. I had no clue in 2017, because we were farmers. We didn't talk about it. I didn't know my dad had died of prostate cancer, and my granddad and a couple of uncles and cousins. I didn't know
Right.
until I got it. And
Mm-hmm.
then last year, right before my mother died, I asked her, I said, "Is there anything else you're not telling me about my family?" Because she was the
Right.
last of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
She exposed to me that my dad had mental illness. Never knew it. I never knew it.
Wow.
So I was like, my God, what could we change if we could
Mm-hmm.
be detected early enough? Because I found out the earlier we detect um, issues, whether they're mental or physical,
Mm-hmm.
the better the outcome is going to be. The prognosis will be better, and
Mm.
you can get healed or manage your
Right.
situation. So that's
Right.
where I was coming from, and that's what I try to speak about now. And I
That's
do
great.
tell people, Sergio,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a project or NFT,
Mm-hmm.
but I sure as heck can take somebody that does have a project NFT, and
Mm-hmm.
if they've got a cause or charity they want to support, if they're legitimate, I can sure promote the heck out of it for them.
Mm-hmm. 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 Absolutely. And Nathan, so tell me about, as you are thinking about these things and the legacy, and tell me what is the convergence of that with the blockchain. In which ways the blockchain can help us, as we get to a certain age, to leave something behind that others can benefit from.
Wow, that is guys, and that, Sergio, I didn't know until I started getting into this. So I think about right now, the most important
Mm-hmm.
influence in my life was my grandmother. Okay, she's been
Okay.
dead a long, long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't realize until months ago, as I began to dive into this,
Mm-hmm.
because of blockchain, because of artificial intelligence, because of everything that's going on right now, virtual reality.
Mm-hmm.
There is a real shortly here. I'm going to be able to sit down in front of a camera, which I can already do in some semblance right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to be able to sit down in front of a camera.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be able to answer a lot of questions through a period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And because of artificial intelligence, believe me or not, because I see pieces of it right now,
Mm-hmm.
my great grandkids are going to be able to enter artificial reality, I call it,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to be able to have a conversation with me. That's powerful.
That is
I'm going to.
incredible.
It's extremely incredible, and it's already beginning to happen right now.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the stuff I'm seeing, some of the stuff I've been studying. I mean, what I wouldn't do right now to be able to have a conversation with my grandmother.
Right.
It would be powerful.
Mm-hmm.
So really, and the most important thing I see for us right now, and I try to help people to understand. Yeah, the older generation, which I am one, we may not be technology savvy, but we have to do it because
Mm-hmm.
this whole thing that we're entering into right now, the blockchain, the metaverse,
Mm-hmm.
virtual reality, I kind of relate it to gravity, as it were. Gravity is a natural physical law,
Mm-hmm.
and gravity doesn't care whether it doesn't care whether you're aware of gravity. Gravity doesn't care if
Right.
you like it. Gravity doesn't care if you agree with it. But if you get on top of your house and step off, you're coming to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
This whole metaverse, this whole blockchain, it's like gravity. It doesn't care whether you know about it, like it, or agree with it. It's already there.
Mm-hmm.
And as we begin to see countries start to adopt some of these things,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to see more and more the speed at which things are being done is pretty incredible. So for
Right.
me, on a standpoint, it's legacy. It's how do I create legacy
Mm-hmm.
that I can carry forward. And you think about your artwork right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm used to buying a piece of physical art. Okay, that's
Right.
great. But the thing about it is, I've got to protect it. I got to worry about getting it stolen. I got to worry about
Right.
getting watered. I got to do all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The way I explain it to people right now is, listen, guys, you can still have that piece of physical art, but there's a digital art that in 200 years, your family will know what was important to you. So I
Mm-hmm.
just, from my standpoint, Sergio, I see it
Mm-hmm.
for me right now, primarily is a place of legacy.
I love that. I love the way you're putting it, and it's incredible, right? I mean, I'm right now 50. I turned 50 years old last year, so I'm getting up there too. If you were to see me, my hair is all white. Actually, my icon on Twitter is like a little graphic with the white hair. But this is like all these conversations that we're having. It's like stuff that I remember when I was a teenager. This stuff like I never thought I would live the day, where we could have like this type of conversations where like all of a sudden these things can become almost reality in our lifetime, right? To be able to, like you said, be able to create this documentation, these recordings ahead of time, so that others in our posterity, when we are gone, can have that interaction with us or can remember us in some way or can hear the things that we had to say, the things that were important for us, and to now being at the verge of living that, and experience that in the flesh is really amazing. I when I talk about technology to my artist community, I always tell this, and this is so true. It's like, I wake up in the morning and I'm excited that I live in 2022. That I wasn't here back in the 20, I don't know, 1500s or something, because I can get up in the morning, I can take my phone and connect to artists that I have never met in the flesh, but that are in Russia, China, Europe, somewhere else in the world. We have this technology, we have this capacity to, for the first time, to connect. And how useful it came when we all experienced the pandemic in 2020, where we were all isolated, but we were still able to connect and gather and do so much things because of this technology. And for as much as, sometimes I'm sure you have experienced this, Nathan, with others, as we get older, we tend to kind of like reject the change, right? We don't like change. We like things the way they were, like the good old days. But when we learn to adapt and adopt and be part of what's happening in the world right now, as you are doing, it's exciting. I mean, I find it exciting. And from the way I hear you speaking in all these groups, I can feel your excitement for what you are living, for your what experiencing. Tell me when, how were you as a child or as a teenager? Did you ever imagine a world like this?
No, that's pretty incredible. My dad was a sci-fi nut. I mean,
Mhm.
he loved Star Trek. I remember sitting there
Okay.
as a little boy watching Star Trek,
Yeah.
and he even, this was back in the 60s and 70s, and he
Mhm.
even said to me, he said, this will be reality one day.
Wow.
And he just saw it.
Uh-huh.
I wish he could have lived to see. I wish he could live to see today.
Yeah.
But I, I was not completely tuned into what he was saying
Mhm.
until I got older,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh my gosh, he's exactly right. And it's the speed at
The
which things
speed.
are taking place right now.
Right.
I mean, the things that we could only dream about 10 years ago.
Mhm.
Um, all you have to do is think about it now. And there's somebody. Here's the thing I'm realizing:
Mhm.
it doesn't matter what I think about. Somebody out there in the world's already probably working on it, and which is
Right.
the incredible piece. It really is.
Mhm.
Um, and the thing about the blockchain and the undeniable, you can't hide anything. I mean,
Mhm.
I think about, I really have a real push for causes and charities, and
Mhm.
part of me, when I saw this, I was like, wait a minute, this is incredible. I mean, this is going to totally flip flop
Mhm.
what we do as charities, because when you study charities out there, and
Yeah.
nothing wrong with the people that are putting them on, they got to make money. But I mean, if I give $100 to feed hungry children, did $2 go in the belly of the child, $98 in somebody's pocket?
Right.
Who knows?
Mhm.
But the blockchain will be able to reveal that. So I'm
Mhm.
like you, man. I'm so excited at
Mhm.
61 years old, right at it, to be at this space and time. The only
Mhm.
regret I got is I won't live another 50 or 100 years to
Mhm.
see what that looks like. So
Yeah, but it's exciting to be in the, in the middle of it right now. And I would love to ask you, Nathan, too. Tell me about the NFT community, because I think part of the big part of NFT, which I didn't know until I, like yourself, I started getting into it and learning about it, and all of a sudden I found all this amazing community of people at all levels. Some who were like me, just starting out, asking questions, and others who have been there for a while and already were successful. And it was so awesome to see and to hear people sharing, and no matter if they were advanced or beginners, and giving each other ideas, giving each other feedback. There was something about that community that I hadn't seen long time, particularly in the art world. So tell me about, how did you find that community and what attracted you to that NFT community?
yes, so here's what I see right now clearly.
Hmm.
NFT, as it were, is actually a bridge. It's a
Hmm.
bridge youth and technology
Hmm.
to age and wisdom.
Hmm.
But the crazy thing, as I saw, is you just said, it didn't matter whether you were 7 years old or 77 years old.
Hmm.
It felt like and it feels like you're being accepted for who you are.
Right.
The thing about it was what it did to me. I've always, Sergio, I've always believed inherently that the majority of the people in the world are good. They want the
Mhm.
same things as the rest of us want. You may not speak their language, but
Right.
we want to be good people. We want to take care of our family and our friends, and we don't want wars. We don't want famines.
Mhm.
And now that the Spaces has revealed that, my gosh, think
Mhm.
about it. We're on Spaces sometimes, and there'll be 8 or 10 continents on there at one time, and
Mhm.
we're all saying the same thing. We all truly, as I tell people, NFT Spaces right now gives you the opportunity to have the family that you never had. And I really
Mhm.
believe that because
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
do see artists and people that are creative, they're really not understood, as it were. I mean, their family are like, what is wrong with you? Well, go get a
Mhm.
regular job. Okay. So
Right.
they're not accepted most times within their own homes.
Mhm.
So the folks that are on this call, guys, this is your new home. This is the home that you wish you had had.
Mhm.
These are the grandparents you wish you had had, the mother and dad, the brothers and sisters. You will find them within the NFT community, and you don't have to look very hard.
Mhm.
It's a special community that has always existed, but prior to this medium called Spaces, you never could come together
Mhm.
in one accord at the same time and have this type of energy. And the energy is absolutely incredible. And
Mhm.
for the folks that are just getting into it, please be aware. You'll probably end up spending 8, 10, 12, 15 hours some days on this if you're not careful, because
Yeah.
it will draw you in.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Particularly the first few days, you get hooked like a good Netflix show that has no end. And maybe for the friends who have no idea what we're talking about in terms of like what is a Twitter space? Because here's what happened to me, and then like for as an artist for many years, of course I had my Twitter account. I opened one when everybody else opened theirs, and I used it for a while, and then I kind of forgot about my Twitter space because I went full fledged to Instagram, and that's where I built my a huge audience, and that's kind of what I did my own art thing. And then when I started getting into NFTs, that's when I'm like, oh wait a minute, I hear I started first with I was the other one, Clubhouse, and then other people were talking about Twitter Spaces. I'm like, well, I have a Twitter account. I'm gonna kind of dust it off again, clean up my profile, and start working at it. And so, if you don't, if you have a Twitter account for or friends who are listening, if you go to Twitter, which is kind of their newer features now, when you open the app, in the middle you have like 4 little circles, and when you click on that, that's what Nathan and I were talking about. It's called Spaces. So it's like conversations that can happen live all through audio, like if you're on a phone call conversation with other people. So there are usually a host or a number of hosts who started that particular group, and then anyone who is listening can request to speak, and it's up to the host to give you the word to speak, and then you can speak. And so each of these sessions or groups, or how you want to call them, they all have different topics. So you find just about any topic that you're interested about. But if you search for NFT, you will find a lot of really good groups, like the ones that Nathan and I are talking about, where really you'll find a very supportive community, artists connecting with each other from all around the world, sharing their stories, sharing their shilling, right, which was a new word, shilling their projects and all these different things, which you'll find it amazing. So we both encourage you to check it out, to look for it, try it out, even if you're not very active on Twitter, just to experience it, because I think it's something that it was really eye opening for me.
Yeah, that's incredible. And think about it. My kids started
Hmm.
Twitter for me in 2017 because of the situation I was in. And
Hmm.
I didn't use it. I mean, I never used it until about, like I say, 3.5 months ago.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I go from having 3, 4 connections or friends, whatever you want to call it on there,
Uh-huh.
to close to 3,000. And I don't have a product to sell. So it's pretty incredible. You attract your like kind people is really what you do, and that's what
Right.
we are. I mean, you and I, we
Yeah.
come from a different diverse backgrounds and everything, but
Hmm.
as you move forward, I can truly say I can count you as a friend. I have never met you yet, which is
Exactly.
incredible.
Right. And something that I love, there's something that when you in other social media platforms, I can make a post, I can make a video, and those are fine. But there's something about the immediacy of listening to Nathan speak right at the moment, in the group, and you share your thoughts, your ideas, where you cannot go back and edit or delete, or clean the post, but talk about what is in your heart. That makes, I think, the whole difference on how we experience the conversation, right? It's unedited. And I've been to groups, NFT groups, where I sometimes heard artists, cry, and really open up their hearts, or others who are afraid. It's like, this is the first time I speak to a group, and I'm afraid, and so you have all this gamut of expressions and emotions, and at the end of the day, that's what humanity is all about, isn't it? That's what we are all about. That's what makes us who we are, and that's why I love listening to you, Nathan, when you jump into the spaces, because you bring that emotion, you bring that what's in your heart, that spiritual component that you speak about.
Yeah, but and really, that's really, at the end of the day, that's really all we have. I mean, and that is what you said. The ability not to be able to edit these things. I mean, you and I are sitting on a space right now, or talk right now, where we're not going to be edited. We're talking right. Like two friends that just reunited after years, and we're just talking. Hey, man, how you doing? Which is the incredible component of this. Is what I call the heart language. I tell people all the time. I mean, listen, if you can tap into somebody's heart, and you can hear it, I can hear your sincerity when you're speaking to me. Right. I can hear it. And that's the incredible thing, the raw emotions you get. And the thing about it was, up until about a month ago, I couldn't speak about the videos I made of for my kids without, I literally were crying. And now I can contain it a little bit, but the raw emotions of that people feel, it's special, man. And the thing about it is, Sergio, this is nothing new. This platform is new to me, and it's new to a lot of people. But this media that we're dealing with right now is absolutely incredible, and I do believe it will change. I do believe it will change humanity if it stays stays up and running. If it doesn't get cut down, there'll be another platform. But this platform is amazing.
Right. And it's up to us to make it be, either good experience or bad experience, right? I mean, we don't have to wait for others to decide. We can make it by participating, by bringing our own positivity into every space. Today's Twitter, tomorrow will be Wiki, I don't know, something else will have a different name, but it is, we can take the role of wait and see, or we can take the role of, let's jump in and let's bring in something to the table. And I think that's what you are doing, which I love.
Well, thank you so much, man. It's exactly right. I mean, and I tell people, the young people have the responsibility to self-police this as best they can. And you have the ability to do that. And the thing about it is, because of the way Twitter set up spaces, you're going to have, you do have some knuckleheads get on there saying inappropriate stuff, but you can block
that's
them.
Everywhere, right?
Life. But you have the ability to flip the switch and cut them off. So that's just pretty incredible.
Yeah, I've seen it in some spaces like, okay, that was weird. I'm sure he's not coming back, or she's not coming back, and then everybody kind of has a quick laugh, and right. The show must go on.
That's right.
Nathan, I want to ask you about something that I see in your profile. It's called keepitcheck.com. Tell us a little bit about what is that project that you have going.
Yeah, keepitcheck.com is really the story, the journey that I went on in 2017, and it's really to give people hope. In fact, I got a guy working on a website right now, and I will be doing some podcasts and some recordings of people. In fact, I talked to a lady today. It's really, when you hear the word cancer, it can scare the hell out of you, quite frankly.
Right.
But the sooner, what we found out, and I found out through studying since 2017, was the majority of cancers that exist in humanity right now, if they're caught early enough, can be cured, eradicated, or at least managed. Okay. And that's about keep it checked, just keeping it checked. Now, here's the crazy thing. Yeah. You would have thought after we found out my dad died of cancer, my granddad, and I had my battle with mine, you would have thought both of my brothers would have taken care of themselves. But it's not true, Sergio. My 50-some-year-old brother called me November of 2019, and he says, "Hey, man, I guess I should have kept it checked." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, I got the same cancer Dad had and you had. They give me 6 months, and guys, he died 6 months later. And here was the crazy thing.
Wow.
The doctor told me if he'd gone a year or two earlier, he'd still be here today." So that's really my initiative. Keep it checked, which now has to do with cancer, your heart, your mental, your mental issues that you may face. Just get the checkup, because men typically throughout the world have a problem with vulnerability when it comes to taking care of themselves. Women do a much better job than we do in most cases, but it's really that's the initiative, is keep it checked. Just keep it checked.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. We're wishing you great success on that, because I think it's a much needed conversation. I think sometimes for guys it's our stubbornness, right? And we're not accepting help, not accepting that we need to be helped or to be checked, and I think that's a great message. So Nathan, you have been so awesome. I want to thank you for your time, for sharing your positivity, your message. I hope that through this conversation, many of our friends listening can go and follow you on Twitter, where you're at your Twitter handle is Nathan G. Kirby. And
that is correct. Yes.
That's where we can find you there, or just go to the Twitter NFT Spaces, and I'm sure at some point you'll run there into Nathan, bringing some great positive chats there for everybody. And, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you for inspiring, the next generation and the following generation and your own generation, my generation, to continue thriving, to continue being excited for what the world is doing. And there's so much negative stories and things that we can focus on, talk about all day, but really bringing the opposite side of the coin to the table, so important. And thank you for doing that, my friend. Wish I could be sitting with you in Florida right now, having a good cup of coffee with some Cuban empanadas, but
oh yeah.
But maybe next time I go there. So thank you, Nathan. Tell please our friends where can they find you in terms of your website, if you can share where that is.
Well, it's keepitchecked.com. It's KEEPITCHECKED, keepitchecked.com. Okay. And if they do have a project, they can also go to Nathan4yourcalls.com. That's something I'm working on with artists all over the world right now to promote their projects. Yep.
What's it called? What's it called again?
Nathan and the number 4 and your calls, Nathan4yourcalls.com.
Oh, that's awesome.
They can find it on the my Twitter profile as well. But it's really just a place that we can take a artist or a project's passion and build that bridge to a cause of charity they have out there.
That's
so, Sergio, thank you so much, man. It was an honor for you to even ask me to be on your podcast. I appreciate it, and we'll welcome to do it again sometime in the future.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward. You'll be seeing me in this year releasing my first collection of NFTs. So I'm very excited for that. I'm working on that right now too. So, to jump in that wagon and to, put my 2 cents into that conversation. So
absolutely.
Thanks to all our friends listening. Do us a big favor, my friend. If you're listening to this podcast, if you enjoy the conversation with Nathan, 2 things that you can do for us. 1, make sure you go and follow Nathan. And then the second, make sure that you share this podcast episode with a friend. All you got to do is just click on that little button that says share. It only takes 3 seconds for you to share that. And so you just never know who will listen to this conversation, and something will stir in their hearts, in their minds to take action. And that's what we are all about. That's what these conversations are all about. So thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. And thanks, Nathan. I will see you in the next level.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.